Who likes the green? What do you think of the green, James?
So we consider absolutely everybody that's going to be using that building, whether it's the cleaning staff, the transport staff, the catering staff, the teaching assistants, the teachers, as well as parents, as well as governors, as well as local community, and of course the children.
We've had a lot of involvement in our new school, and we've looked at the plans, and we've worked with Green Park children to see how we can make it a happy place for them and for the community, and Stow Lawn Primary as well. And we've all had involvement in it, and I'm sure it's going to be even better than Stow Lawn Primary School is now.
I think that what our architects, Archetype, have done for us is that they've really listened. They've listened to exactly what we need. Then what they've done is they've taken that information away and they've turned it into something that's special for us, because this building, it's going to be very unique and it's purpose built for what we need, and I think that's what Archetype have done for us.
The building that we're going to get is better than the one we thought we were going to get, and we are convinced that this will be a flagship school for this area, for this authority, and will give some direction to others in the BSF programme who are following on from us as to what a good school should look like.
When we talk about involving communities in the build and having a quality environment to impact on teaching and learning, when we do this sort of a process, we get a real sense of achieving that. I think in the past we've not been so good at that, and we've perhaps looked back on the end result and thought, well, we could have done that much better. But because the schools are involved in the process, I think that they've got much more of an angle on teaching and learning, and we can see the benefits being reaped for that.
This is the view from the stage looking out. So if you use the whole hall, which you could open it up and have a big assembly in the whole hall, then that's the kind of view you'd get.
The architect's input into every meeting and every visit that we've done has empowered us to go ahead and take strides that we probably wouldn't have taken on our own. It has encouraged staff and pupils to work together, and we feel that that is because Archetype gave us that vision and gave us that empowerment to take this on board and to do what we thought was right for our schools in this environment.
And there's a real sense of the communities being able to come into the schools once they're completed and see what impact they've actually had on the design, along with staff and children. And I think it's fair to say that the work that's been done with Archetype has been included within the children's curriculum. So they've had an impact throughout the build, they've seen the building progress, they've been taken round and shown what's gone on. And so there's a real sense of ownership.
We definitely believe that it's our duty to raise people's aspirations rather than just getting away with the easiest solution. Now, at the end of the day, that doesn't make our job easier. It makes it more difficult, but it also makes it more fun. It makes it more satisfying at the end of the day when we can see people occupying a building which we know is the best we could possibly achieve for them. So it's not just about physical barriers, it's about the feel of the place, that you feel invited, you feel comfortable when you're there, the children feel supported, they feel relaxed and able to study and to learn and to play, that the teachers feel they're well provided for, they're supported, the building enables them to do their job properly, that parents feel comfortable with their children coming to the school, they feel that the building is really somewhere that they don't just have to go to, they want to go to, they enjoy going to. They love going to, they want other people to go to and be part of.
Our school doesn't work in isolation, it relies on the Primary Care Trust, on voluntary sectors, and they also engaged with those stakeholders. In particular, there were really effective meetings with the Primary Care Trust, so we had physios, occupational therapists, sensory inclusion teachers, people who were very specialists in aids, adaptations, equipment, colour schemes, so that they actually looked at what those professionals felt needed to be into the building to make it a really effective learning environment. And I think that period of consultation has made a massive impact on the actual design that we're going to have as a school.
So inclusive design is not just about that early consultation. We work very hard to carry on keeping people involved, engaged in that process right the way through. And so for us it's absolutely critical that we find ways of describing the building that help people to understand what it is we're proposing. So rather than just a dry set of drawings, we do use 3D modelling, which help us design, but actually help us to help other people understand the design. We find physical model making really useful. People like nothing better than having a physical model, small scale, large scale, that they can actually touch, they can look inside, they can pull apart. 3D models on the computer, you can actually take people walking through the finished building and actually stop and pause and ask them if they like that or what their thoughts are. It's actually helping them to relate to what it is you're proposing.
We've encouraged, whenever possible, for the children to kind of be engaged through the contractor with the process of the actual build. And so the children can actually see, it's an animated process on their doorstep, particularly when you have a sort of prefabricated timber frame being craned into place, and they can start to see the building sort of happening literally in front of their eyes. And it's been another part of the arts programme has been to kind of engage the children in terms of their anticipated change and their occupancy in the new building. And some of the artists have been working with them on objects that they're going to be taking to the new building, thinking about, discussing the new building and the new spaces and how they're going to be occupying it and how they're going to be working there. They're engaged with the architect, with the construction and the imminent kind of occupation of their, the new space and the new building.
A design and access statement is something which is now required to be provided with planning application, which sets out, I think it's quite a good thing that you're required now not just to present drawings but to set out the design intentions and how you're making a building accessible. So it's a document which basically goes with the drawings to really describe and set out the philosophy and the approach to design access in the building. Now, at one level, that could just be a very straightforward dry document that you just knock off just before the application goes in, just to try and back up your application. But I think actually it can be something much more than that. It can basically be a living document that starts as the design develops, as you map out some of the main objectives from a design point of view, and then use it as a tool to sort of develop and refine that design alongside the drawings, so that it really becomes something which encapsulates the whole idea of the building and is not just a technical requirement. It's actually then something which really expresses in another way what you're trying to achieve in the building in terms of design and access and that whole thing really.
That archetype, the philosophy with buildings is if you could build a building in a green way, why wouldn't you? And it's the same with access, isn't it? If you can build a building that's accessible to everyone, why would you suddenly build a building that only half the people can get in and use properly? There's no reason to build a building that people can't use.
And obviously when you're designing a building, you're balancing all sorts of different requirements. You've got the site, you've got the technical requirements, you've got building regulations, you've got building bulletins for schools that specify how much ventilation and heating and all those sort of things. Lots and lots of complex technical requirements. The skill of the architect is to manipulate all those technical requirements and create something which is practical and aesthetic. But I think, again, involving people in that process just brings so much more into that.